didn't just marry a prince, she detonated a social bomb so loud that celebrities, comedians, royalty, and insiders are still picking sides years later. This isn't about fairy tales anymore. This is about grudges, bruised egos, scorched friendships, and a long list of powerful people who feel burned, embarrassed, or flat out betrayed. And the wildest part? They're not whispering anymore. They're talking loudly.
Her father, her ex-husband, her ex-friend, they've all been cut out of her life, right? And it's an interesting observation.
Meanwhile, she's got like the perfect blowout, you know, and like she's completely camera ready, except she didn't put eye.
The gloves come off immediately. The moment Harry and Meghan's Netflix documentary dropped, the mood shifted. This wasn't sympathy anymore, it was irritation. The kind that builds when people feel manipulated. And suddenly, A-list names you'd never expect were rolling their eyes, cracking jokes, and straight up calling it out. Music legends, TV giants, comedy royalty. Even people who once defended Meghan turned cold. And it all starts with one man who made hating Meghan Markle his full-time hobby. Piers Morgan didn't just dislike Meghan, he took it personally. From the second she entered the royal orbit, he was watching, waiting, sharpening his knives. Every interview, every appearance, every carefully polished smile, to him, it was all an act. When Meghan appeared on Ellen, Piers called it vomit-inducing. And that wasn't just an insult. That was a declaration of war. In his mind, Meghan wasn't being questioned hard enough.
I said about Meghan Markle.
I am. Would you let me talk?
Ever there's been racist.
Are you gonna let me talk?
She was being protected, coddled, given what he called kid glove treatment while playing the victim on the world's biggest stages. But Piers wasn't mad just because she talked. He was furious because she was making money while doing it. Massive money, Netflix deals, podcast contracts, global interviews, all while still cashing in on a royal title she claimed traumatized her. And that contradiction? That's where his anger really exploded. According to Piers, Meghan cracked the ultimate cheat code: keep the title, ditch the duty, and monetize the pain. He couldn't stand that she criticized the monarchy while still benefiting from its power. And when the Oprah interview aired, questioning Meghan's claims about mental health support inside the palace, Piers didn't blink. He doubled down. The backlash was instant, the pressure was nuclear, and just like that, he walked off Good Morning Britain, but he never backed off his opinion. If anything, he came back louder, harsher, and more convinced that Meghan and Harry were spiraling by their own design.
She met Prince Harry. And then the next night they had a solo dinner together, and that was the last I ever heard from him.
And Piers wasn't alone. Right beside him, nodding aggressively, was Sharon Osbourne. Loyal, unfiltered, and absolutely done with the Sussex saga. When the Netflix series landed, Sharon didn't pretend to be intrigued. She was bored. Worse, she was offended. She called the whole thing distasteful, dragging, and painfully self-indulgent. To Sharon, this wasn't bravery. It was whining with a production budget. And then came the moment that truly lit her fuse. Meghan's story about curtsying for Queen Elizabeth. The way she laughed. The way she compared Buckingham Palace to medieval times, like it was all some cheesy theme restaurant. Sharon was furious. To her, that wasn't quirky or relatable. It was disrespect wrapped in fake humility. She called it a full-blown wine fest, and she never softened that stance. Even years later, on Celebrity Big Brother in 2024, Sharon repeated the same message. People are exhausted. Exhausted by the complaining. Exhausted by the contradictions. Exhausted by the endless victim narrative. And here's the core of their shared rage. You can't cry oppression while signing million-dollar deals. You can't beg for privacy while filming documentaries inside your mansion. You can't trash the crown while wearing the benefits of the crown. To Piers and Sharon, Meghan knew exactly what she was marrying into. Cameras, scrutiny, pressure. That's the royal package.
Evil Times, which, as you know, is a Disney-type entertainment.
And now, watching her rewrite the script as if she were blindsided by fame? They're not buying it. Not for a second. Then the comedian smelled blood. Chris Rock didn't yell. He didn't rant. He did something far more dangerous. He laughed. He took the Oprah interview and turned it into punchlines. The moment about Archie's skin color, Chris dismantled it in seconds. He told the audience what nobody else dared to say. Families talk about that stuff all the time, across races, across cultures. According to him, Meghan presented it as shocking racism while he sat as normal curiosity. The crowd roared because someone finally said it out loud. And then there was Howard Stern. Different energy, same conclusion. Howard couldn't wrap his head around the biggest contradiction of all, screaming "leave us alone" while inviting cameras into every corner of your life. He compared them to the Kardashians, but with one brutal twist. At least the Kardashians are entertaining. To Howard, Harry and Meghan were selling drama without the charisma. He predicted cracks, ego clashes, control issues, because when your public actions keep contradicting your public pain, something eventually snaps. And that's the pattern forming here. Different voices, different platforms, same frustration. The story being sold doesn't match the lifestyle being lived. The suffering doesn't match the privilege.
Now he's walking, he's like, oh, I don't want to do it. I'm not doing this, I'll do this. So he's become a diva.
And people who've been around fame long enough, they can smell that disconnect instantly. This was only the beginning, because once comedians, broadcasters, and insiders started talking, the list didn't shrink. It exploded. And that explosion didn't stop with comedians. Because once the laughter fades, the shade gets colder, sharper, and far more personal. This is where people who once smiled for photos, shared stages, or quietly watched from the sidelines started letting things slip. Little comments, awkward pauses, accidental forgetfulness that said way more than intended. Take Kelly Rowland. On the surface, it sounded sweet. She talked about meeting Meghan at Bianca's Renaissance tour, gushing about how warm and down-to-earth she was. The problem? That wasn't their first meeting, not even close. Old photos surfaced New York Fashion Week years earlier, smiling side by side. And suddenly that first time we met story crumbled. Maybe it was an honest mistake, maybe not. But in celebrity circles, forgetting someone you've met before isn't cute, it's telling, especially when receipts exist. Then there's Erin Foster, who didn't bother pretending. She went straight for the jugular with Instagram posts dragging Meghan's Deal or No Deal days back into the spotlight. Never forget, she captioned one. Another read like a punchline dipped in venom, a briefcase filled with plans to be famous. No subtlety, no apology, just a clear message. This wasn't destiny, it was ambition. Relentless, calculated ambition. Bethany Frankel took a flamethrower to the narrative after the Oprah interview. While others tiptoed, Bethany said what a lot of people were thinking, cry me a river. In her mind, the outrage didn't match the reality. Meghan went from relative obscurity to palaces, tiaras, and a seven-figure wedding in record time. And now, she was positioning herself like a global moral icon? Bethany couldn't reconcile that math. Privacy, she argued, doesn't come from award stages and headline-grabbing interviews. And the more Meghan talked, the less believable the suffering sounded. Megyn Kelly went even harder. She didn't just criticize, she scoffed. Watching the Oprah sit down, she couldn't believe what she was hearing. To Meghan, this wasn't the worst treatment a royal had ever faced. Not even close. She saw extreme privilege wrapped in extreme self-pity. The kind of disconnect that makes regular people roll their eyes because it feels so detached from reality. And then something shifted. When music legends, actual cultural royalties started speaking up, the tone changed completely. Elton John wasn't just a friend. He was family adjacent, Princess Diana's friend, the man who sang at her funeral. So when things soured between him and Harry and Meghan, it hit different. According to Harry's own book, tension exploded during a stay at Elton's home in France. Harry wanted Candle in the Wind performed again. Elton refused. That note fractured something deep. And then came the rumors, whispers that things said privately, possibly aboard Elton's jet, crossed a line. By the time the dust settled, the friendship was ice cold. No public screaming, just silence. The kind that screams louder than words. Sheryl Crow didn't whisper either. She shaded Meghan in front of a live audience at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Dedicated Soak Up the Sun to Meghan, soaking up sunshine in California while everyone else froze in New York. The crowd laughed, but the message was brutal. Sheryl later admitted she once admired Meghan, strong, independent, principled. That admiration vanished. In its place, words like selfish, manipulative, fame-hungry. And the final line cut deepest, bridges burned, welcome gone. Noel Gallagher, never one for diplomacy, blamed the entire royal meltdown on Meghan's influence. He compared Harry to a younger brother who wouldn't stop talking, called him a woke snowflake, and flat out said this is what happens when you let someone else rewrite your family loyalty. To Noel, Harry didn't just change, he was steered. Then the TV voices piled on. Keshia Shante asked the question no one could answer. If you want privacy, why move to Los Angeles? LA isn't a sanctuary, it's a spotlight factory. And she couldn't unsee the way Meghan stared at Harry in interviews. Constant, intense, almost performative. Once you notice it, it's impossible to ignore. Chrissy Swan said Meghan felt rehearsed, like she was playing a role instead of living her life. Wendy Williams took a different angle, defending Meghan's father. Old, sick, alone. Wendy didn't ask for reconciliation, just one quiet moment. No cameras, no headlines. Her conclusion? Nobody feels sorry for you. See, Garwal went straight for the jugular, calling Meghan calculating. She even shared childhood photos of Meghan near Buckingham Palace, arguing this wasn't a fairy tale, it was a plan years in the making. And when voices from inside the royal orbit spoke, it got even darker. Queen Camilla reportedly had doubts from the very beginning, long before the wedding, long before the fallout. According to royal insiders, she questioned whether Meghan could ever truly commit to a lifetime of service. Those doubts hardened into resentment after the Sussex exit. The nickname she allegedly used behind closed doors wasn't affectionate, it painted Meghan as chaos incarnate. Tina Brown, who has spent decades dissecting royal disasters, delivered one of the harshest verdicts of all. Meghan, she said, has the worst judgment she's ever seen, promising superstardom, ignoring advice, chasing experts only to disregard every word. Her ideas? Total crap. And coming from Tina Brown, that wasn't gossip, that was a professional assessment. And finally, Trevor Engelson, the ex-husband who stayed silent while everyone else talked. According to biographers, he went from proud partner to discarded after just 2 years. The marriage didn't end with a conversation, it allegedly ended with a wedding ring mailed back. Cold. Final. No explanation. And the most damning part? Trevor never corrected the story. He never cashed in. He just walked away. And when someone with everything to gain chooses silence, people listen. So here's the uncomfortable question hanging in the air. Are all these people wrong? Are comedians, music legends, TV giants, insiders, and ex-lovers all misunderstanding the same woman? Or are they all reacting to the same pattern? Victimhood paired with luxury, privacy paired with exposure, authenticity paired with performance. Whether Meghan is misunderstood or masterful depends on where you stand. But one thing is undeniable. The list is long, loud, and growing. Loud and growing. Loud and growing. Loud and